Assistant here at 23andMe. With me today are Sarah from the Crohn's Journey Foundation and Joyce Tung, Research Director at 23andMe. We're going to spend this time today talking about 23andMe's inflammatory bowel disease study and take some questions from the community. Sarah's going to lead the Q&A with Joyce, and if you have any questions along the way, just type them into the Q&A box, and we'll try to answer as many as possible before our time is up. And I'll turn it over to Sarah.
Hey everybody, my name is Sarah. I am the founder of the Crohn's Journey Foundation. The Crohn's Journey Foundation is the IBD movement for love, health, and compassion for your insides. We're a nonprofit that was founded by me. I have Crohn's myself, and we're run actually by a team of people who have Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. We aim to educate people with Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis on alternative medicine, so Eastern medicine, alongside their Western treatments to help kind of give them a new sense of health and happiness with what they're given. Our nonprofit is run solely by donation base, so everyone on the team donates their time to do it, and we're known for what we call our IBD Love Your Inside retreats, where we have events where we feature amazing speakers in both the Eastern and Western world, and we provide education, support, inspiration, and it's just a great place for people with Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis to bond. We also support the IBD community with our online articles on our site and our social media, which you can find me posting late night posts at 2 in the morning, and only people with IBD tend to relate to those kind of posts. I got involved with 23andMe, the IBD research study that they're doing, because our foundation really thrives on educating our followers on what's current with the IBD community. So we truly believe that knowledge is power, and I love that 23andMe is delving into such groundbreaking research to potentially give our community a better understanding of what IBD is and connecting it to your genetics. So hopefully it'll help us get closer to a cure sooner than later. I'm excited to speak with Joyce today and address some questions that I've collected about the research project that I know will be helpful, and hopefully encourage you guys to participate as part of our IBD community. So I've collected the pictures, so excuse me while I read the questions off when we do the interview.
Yeah, no problem. So maybe I can just say a few words about myself and our team as well. So I'm Joyce. I'm Director of Research at 23andMe. So that means that I lead a team of researchers and scientists who use DNA and other information to study all sorts of conditions, anything ranging from Parkinson's disease and IBD to stretch marks and motion sickness. And so we're really excited to be working with you guys. We are excited about the promise of being able to, look more into this disease and see what we can do.
That's awesome. Well, I have my first question for you, and it is, what is the IBD study exactly? Because I know that we have featured the study on our site before, but I think there might be a little confusion as to what exactly the study is about.
Great. So this is a research study that we started last year in partnership with Pfizer. And so our goal is to understand how DNA plays a role in the development, progression, and treatment of this disease. So there are a couple of main questions that we're trying to answer. One is, why do people get IBD? Are there any genetic factors that could contribute to why some people get this disease and some people don't? Mm-hmm. In addition, can we understand how better to treat people? So we know that not every treatment helps every person. Why is that? And if we can understand why that is, can we treat people better? Can we develop new treatments? And can we help people find out the best plan for them?
I think that's awesome, and that's definitely true when it comes to the IBD community. The one thing we always preface is how everyone is just so different. So I'm excited to see what you guys come with, what research you kind of come about. The next question I have for you is, what does it mean to be a participant, and what will I be asked to do?
Sure. So, our goal is to make participation in the study really easy. So all you have to do is enroll, and then we will send you a spit kit at no cost to you. And then after you provide your saliva and send it back to the lab, we'll ask you to take a survey, a short research survey, about 15 minutes, and that asks you about your experience with IBD, your diagnosis, your disease progression, any medications you might be taking, family history, that sort of thing. And then after everybody fills out, both the survey and submits their saliva sample from which we'll get the DNA and the genetic information, we'll compare your information with the information of all the other people who are participating in the study anonymously, and we'll run analyses to see what we can learn about how DNA impacts the disease.
And do the people who participate, I remember hearing, when they submit the test in, they also get the results of their DNA sample, so they kind of see what their genetic making is in terms of where they come from and stuff. Is that correct, or?
That's right. So everybody, one of the benefits of taking part in this study is that we also want you to help you learn more about what your DNA says about you. So not only will you get sort of that raw genetic information back, but we'll also tell you how that information, what that information says about your ancestry. So for example, what parts of the world you might come from, whether you have any Neanderthal in you, and we can also help connect you through DNA to relatives that you might not even know about, if you so choose.
That's awesome. I have my DNA kit. I'm going to be submitting it soon, and it's as easy as you said it was. It's just literally a container and an easy way to ship back, so it's definitely something I feel like everyone should look into. My next question is, how many people have already signed up, and why does my participation matter?
Yeah, so in a little over half a year, we've already enrolled 5,000 people. So that's 5,000 people who have chosen to volunteer for this project, and that's half of our goal of 10,000. And by participating, I think you are donating your time, your information to researchers to learn more about what role genetics can play. I think what's really key is that every person counts. The more information we have, the more things that we can find, and we can also understand, how the condition progresses, and and help people develop new treatments. So I think for a lot of people who are asking the question, why me? We hope to help contribute some answers. And I think in addition, I think a lot of times people feel like, why if this happened to me, like, how can I fight back? And I feel like this is a way to fight back, to take a little bit of control and say, well, you hit me, I'm going to hit you back.
Nice. I agree with. We definitely like to have some control in our lives.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to address that there are some questions coming up, and I'm totally going to address those questions. They're all related, and I have that as my last question before the interview ends. Just want to let them know I'm not ignoring their questions that they're posting up there. The next question I have is, how does the study differ from other IBD studies?
Yeah, so one of the ways in which we try to be different from more traditional studies is to make participation as straightforward as possible by leveraging a lot of technologies that make it easy for people to participate from everywhere. So for one thing, the study is basically online. So instead of having to travel to a clinic or a research center, which is not possible for everyone, you can participate from the comfort of your home, your living room couch, in your pajamas, right? And we try to make it as easy as possible for anybody to take part. In another way, that we're different from some other studies is that we focus on genetics, right? So, a lot of studies are looking at different aspects. I think we're trying not only to focus on DNA, but also to get as many people as possible involved. And I think the other thing that we try to do differently is to keep people as informed about the research as possible. So one of the things that always bothered me, in sort of previous research lives is that, people would donate a lot, of their time, of their effort, to a research study. And, that information would go into a kind of this like black research box, right? And I think what we want to try to do differently is really explain, like, where is the information going, and then, what sorts of things are we finding from it.
So we truly can feel like we're partnering with you guys as opposed to just being used and thrown aside when the study is done.
That's our goal. I mean, I don't think anybody ever intends for people to be thrown aside, but I think they just don't realize that, like, it's hard when you just don't understand, what's happened, right? And you're really curious, and it's important to you to find out.
Well, that's one thing I like, and you guys also have a newsletter that's nice because you send it in and kind of give us updates on what's going on, how the study's going, and so it's really helpful. And then also if you choose to participate, I've noticed that there are times when I initially had done the questions, I'd forget to answer them, and they'd send nice reminders like, hey, here's an easy way to do it. So everything was much easier to participate in and much easier to track, which was nice. And then so I have another question for you. I have a bundle of questions for you. How will 23andMe use my data? Because I know that that's also a concern, that now we're sharing some personal stuff. It's our saliva, which then you can get our genetics from. So how do you guys use that data?
That's right. So your genetic data and your survey information will be combined with the same kinds of information from the other people who participate in this study. So it's all shared anonymously with the researchers. So they don't know name, they don't know contact information. It's just the data. And so the researchers will run analyses on that data to understand how different genetic factors are associated with, again, like treatments, disease progression, that sort of thing. As part of this study, you can also consent to share your individual level information, right? So usually we do the analyses, and these sort of summary results are what get published in papers and shared with researchers. In this particular case, we're trying to do even more, make the data even more useful by sharing the individual level data with qualified research partners, including Pfizer. So again, like, all of that information is stripped of the sort of personally identifying contact information, right? Your name, email, your address, that sort of thing. So just to make it harder for your privacy to be breached.
Awesome.
So we're going to take a break right now so we can take some questions from that have been coming in. So one of the main ones that I've been seeing is this study open to people outside of the U.S.? So Joyce, do you want to address that?
Yeah, so right now the study is not open to people outside of the U.S. And there are a lot of research regulations in other countries that we need to make sure that we understand and address before we could expand it.
Great, thank you. And then a second kind of related question would be, is the study open to people outside of the U.S. who already have a 23andMe account? And as Joyce said before, the study isn't currently available to people outside of the U.S., including existing 23andMe customers. So, yeah. And Sarah, do you have more questions for Joyce that you want to?
I do. I have a couple more, or more than a couple more. My next question is, what are the benefits of participating in the study? So I know that sometimes when people give their time, they'd like to know what they would be able to get. And I think you kind of touched upon it already. So I don't know if you just want to re-summarize exactly what we get as participants.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about a few of these different things, as in some of the other questions. But one, gives you an opportunity to take a really direct role in research that may benefit you or other people with IBD. You can participate in this research from the comfort of your own home, as opposed to having to go to some clinic. We try to keep you informed about the research process as things occur, so that you can be more involved. And then you have the option to learn about your genetic data and your ancestry through the use of our personal genome service.
Which in itself I think is kind of amazing, because usually you have to pay to get that type of information, and we're getting it provided for free alongside helping all the research, which I think is cool.
Yeah, and I think it's important that people get to understand, if they're if you're sharing your genetic information, to understand also what it means for you.
Yeah, exactly. My next question is, what can I learn from the 23andMe personal genome service?
Sure. So currently, our personal genome service can provide you with information about your ancestry. It can also help you connect to relatives that you may have. So you share DNA with your siblings, your parents, your children, that sort of thing. And as it goes out, cousins, and we can look at we can compare your DNA with other people in the database and see if you're related, anywhere from first cousins to fifth cousins or sixth cousins. You can also find out what parts of the world your DNA is from. So my husband, for example, is Mexican, and he found out through the service that he's about 3/4 European, and 24% Native American, and 1% African. So that was really interesting to him to kind of see all the different places that his DNA came from.
That's awesome. And we have a question that kind of popped up that kind of correlates with that question. I was wondering if you can ask it. It says, when we are going to when are we going to open up to our immediate family members as participants or members of patients diagnosed with IBD already, helping the genetic rules?
Sorry, can you ask that question again?
Yeah, I know, I read it kind of awkwardly. When are we going to open to our immediate family members when are we going to open up the testing, I guess, to immediate family members of patients diagnosed with IBD, helping with the genetic rules, kind of making that connection? So, like, to test my brother or test my mom.
That's right. So this particular study is focused on people who have IBD themselves. You know, certainly people who want to join 23andMe independent of the study but want to contribute to the research can join, and they can still take the IBD survey, and that would really help as well.
Awesome, and that kind of answers the next question, which is who is eligible to participate at this time?
Right. So there are a number of eligibility criteria. One is, you know, you have to have been diagnosed with Crohn's or ulcerative colitis by a qualified physician. You have to be willing to submit the saliva sample for the, you know, the DNA testing and complete the online survey. You have to have access to the internet, which hopefully isn't too much of an issue anymore. You have to be at least 6 years old, but and not only that, but if you're under 18, you need an adult to help you enroll. You can't be an existing 23andMe customer, at least not right now, and you must reside in the United States. If any of those things change, I think we would let the community know.
Okay. Yeah, I want to add on to Joyce. If any of those things change, we would be sure to advertise on our study landing page, and we would probably advertise on our blog as well. So stay tuned to both those sources. And I'm going to take some questions now that are coming up. So Joyce, this one is for you. Is the study looking for specific genes or epigenetics, the microbiome, or virome?
That's a great question. So what we do primarily is what we call a genome-wide association study. So it looks at, you know, your germline genome, the one, you know, the DNA that you inherited from your parents, and we're looking basically at all genes in the genome as opposed to specific ones. Right now, we're not focusing on epigenetics, microbiome, or viruses, not at this point.
Great, thank you. I think that we've addressed most of the questions from the community at this time. If there's any more questions, please be sure to type them in and we can address them as well. Oh, here's one right now. Oh, I can address this one. So the question is, my son was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis in 2014, but I was denied to participate. I'm not sure why. Can we reapply or enroll? We fit all criteria. So if you enroll in the community and you were chosen as ineligible and you believe that choice was made in error, please feel free to email us at ibd-help@23andme.com, and we can help you re-enroll and look through your criteria. So that one is done. And Sarah, would you like to make an announcement?
Yeah, so I have been teasing everyone on our social media about an announcement that we'll be doing. So every year we hold an annual retreat. We call it the Love Your Insides Retreat, where we have unbelievable speakers from both the Eastern and Western world come and educate us. And there's yoga and meditation and all organic local food that's targeted towards your diet, which is a lot of different diets, but we make it happen. And what's nice about it is our next one is in July, and 23andMe has been so generous to sponsor one retreater to go for free, and basically all expenses paid for one of retreater who has IBD or Crohn's to come to our retreat in July for free. So in order to enter, we will be posting that on our social media page, and I think 23andMe will be doing that as well on Facebook. And I think we're going to be putting that up tomorrow to kind of announce how to enroll and everything. But those of you who are listening now, kind of get a heads up to keep your eye open for that and get signed up and enter as quick as possible. So thank you so much, 23andMe, for doing that, because that's fabulous.
I'm very happy to do so. You guys do great work.
Thank you.
So I just want to thank everyone. Oh, I'm sorry. We have one other question coming in. Oh, it's a compliment, actually, which is great. That they were originally turned down for the study and sent an email to 23andMe and resolved the issue. So, yeah, as I said before, if you have an issue with your enrollment, please feel free to email us at ibd-help at 23andMe, and we'll get back to you about that. So I want to thank everyone for joining us at the Google Hangout today. And if you have any more questions, once again, please feel free to email me at ibd-help@23andme.com. And we'll also try to, if there's any other questions that come in, we'll try to answer them on this video. And thank you again to Sarah and Joyce as well.
Thank you so much for having us.
Guys.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
All right, bye.
Bye.